Hi everybody, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Helena, and as I mentioned several times, you probably know by now, I'm Swedish. That's the accent you're listening to. And today, finally, I'm going to show you my grandma's. This is at least over 100 years old recipe. I cooked with her since I have memory, 2, 3, 4 years old, stealing cookies and helping her make them, and the cinnamon bunnies, and then the food. By the age of 8, 7, 8, I was already cooking. Now, these are this is the true old Swedish recipe to meatballs. We're gonna do the thick, nice gravy to go with them, and of course mashed potatoes. Now, I hope you watched my videos of how to make the lingonberry jam sauce and the canned pickled Swedish cucumber. Neither of those two can be missed on a Swedish plate with meatballs. If you haven't, up here in the corner towards the end of the video, I'm going to leave you the links to those two videos so you can get prepared. Now, let's get started. Our first step here will be to mix together our ground meat. Now, this is going to be a mix of 60% meat and 40% pork. Why is that? Because if you only have that meat, ground meat inside of it, it's going to be very dry. It's going to start falling together. Even if you put it in the fridge, take it back out. So the pork portion here, the 40% pork, will add on grease, a fuller taste, a richer taste to the meatballs, okay? I've got all together here. I had to buy them separate. I couldn't find them mixed up. So I'm going to put in, all together we'll be dealing with 2.5 kilos. But don't worry, because what I'll do is I will take 1/3 out of here, because I'm going to use that 1/3 of this 2.5 kilos for Swedish cabbage rolls with ground meat. Okay, super rich. I'll be baking those after the meatballs. Now let's make sure we have super clean hands. The best way to mix this is with our hands. And once we got it more or less mixed up, use a wooden spoon or a fork like this. Why wooden? I really don't have an answer to that, but my grandma always used to say, when working meat, etc. like this, always wooden, not metal. So I'm going to follow her advice. Okay, so I've taken out of the 2.5 kilos, I have taken out 1/3. So what is left in here is more or less like 1.6, 1.7 kilos of ground beef and ground pork mixed together, 60% beef, 40% pork. Now, I actually used my hands. It's so much easier to get it all together that way. Now, I'm going to put the ground meat aside that I'm going to use for cabbage rolls. And we're going to be working with the meatball mix. Okay, now I'm taking a tablespoon here, and I've already added some in, and it will be approximately 15 tablespoons of breadcrumbs, the fine one. Having done that, I am putting in 2 eggs. I know a lot of recipes will tell you 1 egg, but since we have more mix in here than most recipes, 2 eggs. Next here, I'm putting in 3 teaspoons, small ones. Actually, I'm going to leave it at 2, and we're going to taste it off. And also, we're going to add in some grounded black pepper. This will come out a lot. I'm going to try to make 1 tablespoon of grounded black pepper here. There we go. Now my grandma's secret here is gloves. Next is 1/2 to 3/4 of medium to large onion, white or yellow. We're gonna have to slice this up into very thin slices, cut it up, and then cut again into tiny little pieces, like the ones I have here. I don't know if you can see enough. They're small tiny pieces, so that they will fry up evenly with our meatballs. Now this is the total amount of sliced up onion that I'm using. They're all in tiny little pieces, and we're going to put this into our bowl with meatball mix. Now we'll be adding milk in. We're going to add in little by little. We want this mix to be loose. We don't want it hard, and we're just going to have to check as we go. Stick your hands in there and start mixing. Now I would say our mix is ready when we can lift it out like this, take it into our hand, and make a round ball about this size. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this into the fridge whilst I'll peel potatoes. Now I've got 7 potatoes between these sizes here. Okay, and just peel them all, cut them up, smaller pieces. That way they will cook up faster. We'll just cook it up with water, pinch of salt in, put a lid on, and let it boil up till they're ready. Okay, my potatoes have been chopped up into pieces, and I'm putting a pinch of salt in there. Next, I'm going to find a lid and leave these to boil up. If you overcook them slightly, fine, makes them easier to mash up. So I've taken out a frying pan, a large one. I put a little bit of olive oil in here, and we're going to add some butter into, I'm sorry about my finger. We're going to add some butter in to fry up our meatballs. I think I mentioned this before. Always when we're using butter to fry with or in the oven, you need to have a bit of olive oil in there to avoid the butter from burning. Okay, let's start making our meatballs. Since I'm serving these for dinner, I'm making them a little bit larger. If these were to go like on a table with a lot of different starters, like a typical Swedish or Danish smørrebrød, then you want to make them a little bit smaller. The myth about round meatballs, yeah, well, they're the ones that comes out of a factory. Swedish meatballs, they have an edge to it. They have a side to them normally, okay? So don't be surprised or don't think you've done something wrong. That's normal with Swedish meatballs. Now let's try to make all of these the same size so that they will fry up evenly. And once we have the frying pan more or less full, make sure you have enough space so you can shake this frying pan around a little bit, okay? Here are our meatballs frying up nicely. I've had them on for like 2 minutes now. I think we should just remember here you need to shake them around a bit like this so that they don't stick to the frying pan, and leave them on until, well, you try them out by turning them around. I'm using one of these to turn them around, and when you've got a nice surface to it, then turn them around, okay? Now, in a smaller cooking pot here, I'm gonna add in about 50 grams of butter. This is real butter that I'm using the whole time through here. Not margarine, it's not healthy for you, and the taste has got nothing to do with real butter. It's almost floating already. Now I'm going to put this on the stove, have it melt. Our potatoes are cooking just fine, and the meatballs I still have not, I haven't turned them around yet. I will in another minute or two. Obviously I'm frying this on a very low temperature. They've been on for about 10 minutes now on this side. Now that our butter have melted, I'm going to put a little bit of white flour or all-purpose flour in there. Not a lot. That should do it. And I'm going to use one of these to whip it around a little bit, okay? Tiny bit more. There we go. Put it back on the stove. Keep moving this. It's gonna thicken up. And also we are gonna take a heavy cream. The only one I can buy here is this one. Shake it up a little bit, and we're gonna put half of this, which is like 450. Give me a second. This is about, half of this is about 450 grams all together. So we're putting that in here. It's very heavy. And we are gonna leave this to boil. I'm also putting in like maybe half a teaspoon of grounded black pepper in here. And we are adding on a little bit of soy sauce. I am not putting any salt into this because the soy sauce itself have a lot of salt in it. That could be like maybe 1.5 tablespoons. And move this around a little bit. It will give it a great taste, and it will give it a little bit of color as well. Now let's leave this on the stove. I'm running out of lids here, so I'm putting one of these on top. We're going to leave this to boil. And let's check our meatballs. Okay, I've taken one meatball out. Yes, I'm still on frying the first batch. Got 16 in there. I've cut it in half so that you can see that they are ready inside, and the onion is done as well. I've got to taste this one off. I can't hold it anymore. So good. So good. Check on your sauce. It should have boiled down quite a bit by now. Just turn the heat off and leave it on the stove. Now make sure you add some more butter to your frying pan before you put the second batch of meatballs in there. Our sauce is almost ready. I tasted it off. No salt needed thanks to the soya sauce in there. I'm gonna just wait because what we got left in our frying pan will go into the sauce, all right? Okay, we got a total of 45 meatballs. Now, taking into account that each person eats around 6 meatballs, this will be enough for 7.5 persons to eat, or 7.5 people to eat. Now we're going to take what we have left in our frying pan and empty this into our sauce. Not scratching from the side, just the upper part, but I want all of the liquid to go in there. Lots of taste in here. Nice. There we go. Let's move that around a little bit. It's going to become a little bit grumby. Just nice. Gets a little bit darker look to it, and it got all of the spices from the meatballs into the sauce as well. There we go, that sauce is more than ready. Just waiting for the potatoes to boil up. Our potatoes are ready, so let's just get the water out of the cooking pan. Let's mash these up a little bit whilst they're hot. Oops. Let's add just a pinch of salt because the sauce has got plenty of salt in it. And if you have any butter left from previous packages, take advantage. And mine is melted. I mean, I'm in Cancun. I leave this out for 30 minutes and it has melted completely. Let's add it in here to our potatoes. And I've got another 90-gram pack here. And I'm going to take 3/4 of it and add in as well. Okay, it's pretty crumbled up by now. I purposely overcooked the potatoes to make them easier to mash up. We're going to add some milk. Now here is our plate with the Swedish meatballs, gravy, mashed potatoes, our cucumber in vinegar and sugar. I'm leaving the link up here in the corner. And our lingonberries jam, also leaving the link up here in the corner. Now, if you like the video, give me that like underneath. Leave me some comments how you like cooking with me. Hit that subscribe button to get more videos from me and to find them easier for when you want to cook. And that will be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm going to enjoy my plate of meatballs. Bon appetit.